Hey, what is up, everybody? It's me, Sam Jackson, Director of Innovation Technology for the amazing Georgia Legacy Group. It's my first time going live on YouTube, so this is an experience. Be quite honest, I was shooting some video this morning, and it didn't quite work out the way I wanted, so I'm figured instead of re-recording the whole thing, let's just go live on YouTube, and you guys get a peek behind the curtain on no special effects when you go live. So this is the green screen, the green tape on my cords, and how the sausage is made behind the YouTube channel. But hopefully you guys enjoy this. It's gonna be a little bit of a different flow than what I'm usually doing. For those of you who are new to the channel, I'm typically doing a lot more how-to, hopeful command coaching and how-to videos. But today I really want to take a second and recap my notes from day one of MegaCamp. So kind of been thinking about it for the last, I don't want to say 24 hours, last 18 hours roughly. MegaCamp was day one yesterday. But I just want to take a couple minutes to share some of my notes from yesterday. There are three things I want to kind of share with you. They're not the most substantial things that had come out of MegaCamp, but definitely just a few things that have been sticking with my mind since I've heard them yesterday. But for those of you who haven't attended MegaCamp in the past, this is a wonderful experience. This is one of Keller Williams' 2 large conventions. This is the first time we've ever done it completely virtual, and I'm loving the experience so far. A lot of amazing content. Man, at the end of the day yesterday, it was kind of funny that I think when you go to MegaCamp, you get so much content that it's almost overwhelming. Like I'll have like a headache or feel exhausted by the end of day one because there's just so much physically and mentally that you're kind of absorbing. And I still had that feeling yesterday. The power of the content that Keller Williams has been able to provide at MegaCamp is just phenomenal. And I'm looking forward to day 2 and day 3 kicking off here. But let me get into the 3 things that I want to share with you that I took away from MegaCamp. And again, these aren't the most substantial. Definitely, interact with some other agents, some other leaders in your market center. They may have some better notes, but these are the 3 things that really have stuck with me that I'm still thinking about and processing. I figure I'll just do a mind dump and share it with you. So yesterday, Gary Keller, Jay Papasan, they always do this like industry, state of the industry address, or I think they called it a market report this year. But essentially we kind of look at the economics of not only the United States and Canada, but then we also look at the housing industry as well, and kind of try and, I don't want to say predict, but analyze where things are going with real estate and housing in relation to the economy. And one of the interesting things that I think stuck with me is that we kind of have 2 versions of the economy going out right now. So based on COVID-19 coming in and hitting several industries. So, in our economy, we have several different industries, like we're in real estate and housing, but as you know, there's like financial, healthcare, recreation, all these different industries that make up our economy. But we have 2 different tails, essentially. We have those that were directly hit by COVID-19 and those that were indirectly hit by COVID-19. So right now, anyways, it seems that the housing industry was in that group of indirectly hit by COVID-19, not seeing a direct correlation to, what we do. I know that some states in the economy or some states throughout COVID were hit a little bit greater. You weren't able to practice real estate. So I'm sure you guys are feeling a little bit harder than most. But in generally speaking, housing was kind of okay when we look at it. Compared to the other industries like retail, recreation, travel, transportation. These are some of the hardest hit industries. And what's kind of interesting about this, and again, speaking from a clinical standpoint, this is another point that Gary and Jace shared. These were industries that already weren't making that much money. When you look at their income percentages compared to the other industries, these are a bit more like lower income industries that were hit hardest by the pandemic. And we saw not only their income already being capped or kind of hitting a ceiling, but they were also hit the hardest by unemployment with this. So for example, when COVID hit, hotels kind of shut down or were limited capacity. You couldn't eat out anywhere. So restaurants and wait staff and kitchen folks were hit pretty hard, and they already weren't making that much to begin with. So you have these like low income industries that were just absolutely crushed by COVID, and then we also have these higher level, earning different industries that seem to do all right and are indirectly hit. So kind of what we're looking at, and I'm sorry for like rambling, I'm not an economist, I don't want to pretend to be, but the gist of it is we're going to probably see like two tails of the economy. We're going to have like a K-shaped, I don't want to say growth, but like K-shaped like phases moving forward or like rebound. So those that were indirectly hit by COVID and what's going on in the economy, they're probably going to do all right. They're going to keep trending upward. So think of them as like the top part of that K, that top line that's still growing. Those that were directly hit by COVID, those that were struggling, are going to continue to go down for a while before they recover. So it's kind of interesting to see these two different paths within one economy. And again, I'm not an economist, don't pretend to be that smart. But I thought that was very, very interesting. And I'm not sure that in my lifetime I've ever seen anything like that, or in the history of the US, we've ever had like essentially two stories within one economy. And to put this in perspective, another interesting that took away from the state of the industry, when you look at where we were in like January, part of February even, we were booming. Like our economy was kind of too good for too long. We were rocking and rolling. Our unemployment rate before COVID hit was at 3.5%. Now, historically, the United States is usually at somewhere between like 4 to 5%. So not like we weren't, at 2% or 1%. We were still pretty good. We were close to that historical average, but we were definitely below it. But when COVID hit, it took us 2.5 months, just 2.5 months from February, I think, to like April, to go from 3.5% all the way up to spike at 14.7% unemployment. Never in the history of the United States have we seen that drastic of an incline for unemployment in that short of a period. So in 2.5 months, we jumped like 11% unemployment, which is absolutely insane. And to kind of put that in perspective and how this may look moving forward, at the peak of the bubble, so in the Great Recession, so that was like 2005 to 2009, at the peak of our unemployment during that really horrible time, we were at 10% unemployment. And it took us 7 years to recover. So this may be a slow burn. This may be a very slow recovery based on kind of what Gary and Jay had shared. And for those of you who get the chance to go back and watch that recording, definitely do it. It's one of my favorite things that we explore at MegaCamp and Film Reunion is kind of like the industry and getting this macro perspective of it. Make sure you tune in or get a recording of that because it's going to be, I think, very helpful for you to understand the bigger picture of this. They also shared, so the sky isn't completely falling. There are some ways that we can actually rebound pretty quickly from this. Gary and Jay and the economics team over at KW put together like, hey, this is best case scenario, worst case scenario, things that could work out for us, things that would could potentially set us back even further. Very, very interesting stuff, though. I just want to share that. But that's something I'm chewing on is just kind of wrapping my head around. How does that impact, to real estate? So we're going to have people who are moving up, and you're probably seeing this right now. I know here in Atlanta, we're seeing that people are moving up, buying their dream homes, but knowing that there's still a substantial amount of people who could be on the downside of this, who are selling for all the other reasons, right? That they lost their job or can't afford rent, or the forbearance period is drying up on their mortgages. So it's kind of bizarre, but very, very interesting. That's thing number one. Thing number two. So after the state of the industry, we had the chance to watch Gary and Jay. Really, Gary did an interview with Keith Cunningham, who, for those of you familiar with the Rich Dad, Poor Dad book by Robert Kiyosaki, Keith Cunningham is the rich dad in this book. Keith was really, really fascinating. Really loved his approach. I'll be honest with you, I haven't really heard much from him. It's not something I follow, but I definitely will moving forward. But he shared kind of like this pie graph of successful people, and he kind of really simplified. When you look at successful people, you can kind of break it down into just 3 circles. So he kind of just told us, draw 3 circles, 3 intersecting circles on a piece of paper. So like kind of like the Olympic rings, but without the extra 2. So like intersecting circles. He said in the top left, go ahead and write in there things that you're good at doing, things that you like to do, things that you're good at doing. In the right circle, go ahead and write in something that people want, something there's a need for. And then in the bottom circle, the final circle, go ahead and write in something that people will pay for. So you have things that I'm good at, things that I like to do, things people want, and then also things that people will pay for. And these are 3 intersecting circles. And for those of you who are familiar with like that diagram, in that middle area where all 3 circles can join, it's a little bit of luck. It's not very often that you find something that you like doing, something that you're really good at doing, something people pay for and want, and then having that success in the middle. There's a little bit of luck involved. And I thought that was really interesting because you read all the books and you hear about mindset and overcoming these things. I've never really heard a leader ever talk about luck in that sense before, and I thought that was really interesting. But of course, there's always a catch, right? So if you are lucky enough to have something that you enjoy doing and people pay for it and people need it, the 4th element behind this after luck would also be consistent execution. And for those of you who read The One Thing, kind of went into similar theories about, really mastering your one thing. That's the common ground behind all of that as well, is that you can have those 3 circles, you can have a little bit of luck, but if you're not showing up every single day and doing that one thing that is the most important, then none of it matters. And I love this quote from Gary. I think it was from Gary. It says, successful people are playing an internal game of mastery. So you may know somebody, or it may even be you. It's okay to have this realization. We see a lot of people who are playing like an outward facing, an external scorecard, right? They have the scoreboard up saying, hey, I'm in the lead, I'm doing well. I benchmark success on my outward facing things, but it's truly the people who are internal, who are focusing on mastery, showing up every day and doing the little things consistently and executing that daily, are the ones that are successful. And that stuck with me. I'm thinking about that one a lot today on, even in my role as a director of innovation and technology, what would that thing be? What would mastery be for me? So, hopefully that inspires you. Again, if you get a chance to go back and watch your recordings, definitely do that. It's just like nugget after nugget. It's fantastic. I love MegaCamp and what it brings. And then, so we finished the day 2 with Tim Ferriss, who's another amazing motivational speaker and somebody you want to listen to. But the last thing I'm going to share with you is really what I learned in the middle. So in the afternoon after Keith Cunningham, Gary, Jay, and Jason Abrams had a series of recorded sessions with agents within KW. And there's a lot of things that stuck out. So basically the general premise was, hey, top mega agents, you had a successful business before COVID. What pivot did you make in the economy? What pivot did you make in your business? And there are a lot of really, really great stories of how a lot of our agents and teams had adjusted what they did successfully into a COVID virtual, world. But this one theme really, really sticks out with me. A lot of the agents, and we heard this through several interviews, most of the agents were I don't want to say focused, but they were really, really strong at creating touches. They were touching their database. They were touching their community. They were making their marketing. They were making their lead gen. They were making their touches. And then when COVID hit, there was this shift and this pivot to stop creating touches, stop making touches, and start delivering experiences. And if you get a chance to, again, I hopefully, go back and watch all of the recordings. They're incredible. But time after time, the common theme between each of these agents is they made this pivot that said that, a touch isn't enough. The game has changed. It wouldn't be the wisest thing to call up people in the middle of the pandemic and ask them about their real estate needs. A lot of them just started delivering experiences, started making care calls and more really strong contributions from where they were coming from. And I thought that was amazing. And that's one that I'm thinking about a lot. I know, especially for us in the Georgia Legacy Group, when you look at the amount of content, the material and the speakers and the training and all the guests that we brought in during COVID, it's like that we've been living at MegaCamp since February. It's been absolutely amazing from the speakers that we've had. And there's so many that we can't even name them. Most of them you'll see this week at MegaCamp to tell you how privileged we are. It's been incredible. And thank you to, all the leaders in our group for putting that together. But when I reflect on this and think, how am I delivering experiences daily? what does that look like? Even with calls that come into me, when I'm not lead generating, how I deliver experiences. And I'm just going internal here. This isn't, anything to really, respond to in the question box or the comment section, but I would love to hear your thoughts on what it would take to look like, to just take your 36 touch program, blow it up completely, and change out the word for touches with experiences, and see if that's still the same. I know a lot of our teams and a lot of our agents, they'll sit down in about the next month or so, start planning out their marketing and lead gen plans for the next year. Let's change the word 36 touch to 36 experience. What would that look like for you? That's something that I'm going to be chewing on for the next couple of days. I just wanted to share that with you. Again, I know that's not the most substantial thing to come out of MegaCamp, but these are the things that I'm thinking about of how do I create experiences? And since this is more like a coffee talk and I'm out of my platform and what I usually do anyways, I'll kind of share this personal side of me. So for those of you who don't know me, I've been married for 8 years, and I have a 6-year-old son and a 3-year-old daughter. And so my wife and I talk about this idea of creating experiences for our family all the time, right? So my wife and I have 2 different backgrounds. We grew up in the same area of Pittsburgh, but I grew up relatively, I don't want to say poor. I could always eat, and there was always gifts underneath the Christmas tree come Christmas, but wasn't well off growing up. My wife, on the other hand, was. She came from a pretty wealthy neighborhood, wealthy family. But it's really funny that we both grow up with 2 different paths of, what holidays look like, what birthdays look like, what our childhood looked like. My parents stayed together. We had more of a normal family. I know that's kind of weird to say normal family, but my wife and her family was divorced. Her parents got divorced. So we had 2 different dynamics of what we're doing, 2 different perspectives really. But when we look at what we want for our children, I didn't have those material objects growing up. I don't need them. My wife had them and hated them. She said that they couldn't make up for kind of what she went through when her parents divorced. So when we both look at how we came together as parents, 2 different backgrounds, but the key thing is more than anything, we don't want to spoil our kids with, I'd say crap, she says material stuff, but I don't want my kids to have a bunch of toys that just kind of rot away or, collect inside the playroom, and then we just donate them whenever they need new stuff. We both look at how we want to raise our children and raise them with experiences. We want to, open up their world. I've never, ever thought about that. That's something I protect so intently in my personal life with the way I raise my kids, but I never think about that in terms of my everyday relationships, in terms of business and my job. So that kind of opened up my eyes that holy smokes, we're talking about just adjusting to a pandemic, but there's a really, really greater opportunity here to just stop making touches and start really, really delivering experiences to everybody that you come in contact with. So I don't know, maybe I looked into that. I got really philosophical with that one quote, but it's my platform. I'm going to share that with you guys today. But that's it. That's kind of the 3 things for me is the tale of 2 economies, what that's going to look like. Really interesting perspective from Keith Cunningham takes a little bit of luck and a lot of consistent execution to be successful. And then also stop making touches, start delivering experiences. Those are my 3 big takeaways from day number 1 at MegaCamp. I've already rambled for 19 minutes here, but hopefully you guys enjoyed this. I'm going to probably continue this for the next 2 days of MegaCamp, just doing a coffee talk and sharing what I've learned throughout day 1, day 2, and day 3. And then I'll probably collect my thoughts a lot more professionally than what I did here today. And I'll share a kind of a compilation of the top things that I had learned from MegaCamp this year. But I'm enjoying the virtual experience. It's been absolutely phenomenal. If you are a subscriber to my channel and you've logged into this live feed, or you're watching this later and you do not have a ticket to MegaCamp, go get one immediately. There's probably still one available at your market center. And then if not, let me know. I would love to deliver an experience for you. So if you need a ticket at MegaCamp, give me a call and we can work that out. But this is some amazing content that I think that we're lucky to have such an amazing culture at KW in which our agents are sharing these experiences with us, sharing their best practices with us, and then just being educated by some of the smartest people inside the entire real estate industry. So I'm loving it. I'm digging it. I'm getting fueled up from it. Looking forward to day 2. But thank you guys for those who tuned in live. I don't know who joined me, but appreciate you for tuning in live. And for those of you who watch the video once this recording ends, I would love to hear your take on MegaCamp. If there's anything valuable that you heard from my video here today, I know it's a little bit of a different format, but hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and I'll continue it for the next couple of days for MegaCamp. Thanks for watching. Go make it a great day, and I'll catch you on the next side. And as always, stay in command. See you.